Good morning and welcome back to Rapid Done right here on Rapid TV. We are in the very final hour of the show, which is the big conversation. It's time to have the big conversation. And it's super important that we have this conversation here, especially because the FCT election is less than, the FCT Area Council election is less than 48 hours. And we're in a very critical time in the FCT. We must do what we must, or we must do what we can to ensure that this election is free and fair. Before we get on to the conversation of today, my name is Martha Alu.
And my name is Victor Arke. Welcome to the big conversation. Of course, just like Martha has stated, our fingers across just to see how the election is going to turn out on Saturday.
Yes, and elections are not just events. Elections are super important to any democracy. It's the heartbeat of any democracy, as a matter of fact, and these are like tests of institutions. And for Nigeria, the credibility of the ballot solely relies on INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission. And today we will be sitting with someone from the INEC quarters to discuss what preparations have been made, for the elections. How credible do they think the election would be? How prepared is INEC to conduct these elections, and what the masses should be looking out for when they come out to vote on Saturday. Now, we have Wilfred Ifogah. Wilfred Ifogah is the Deputy Director, Information and Publicity for INEC. Good morning, and thanks for joining us on the show.
Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Can we bring down the volume of this? It's pretty loud. Good morning, Mr. Ifogah. Okay. We'll go out on a very short break, and when we get back, we'll rectify whatever glitches exist here, and we'll be back. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. Apologies for the breaking transmission. We are back and ready to kick off this conversation right from where we dropped it off. We have Mr. Wilfred Ifogah on the line, and he'll be helping us understand what preparations INEC has made to ensuring that we have a smooth run in the FCT this weekend. Good morning to you, Mr. Wilfred. It's good to have you back with us. We can't hear you, Mr. Wilfred. Unmute your mic, Mr. Wilfred. It looks as though your mic is muted, so we cannot hear you from here. No. Unfortunately, I don't know what's going on with the audio from Mr. Ifogah's end, but it's important that we have this conversation this morning, especially because we have seen a lot of campaigns go on in the FCT. It's important to know that we have a total of 637 candidates vying for different positions, different seats across, I think, about 6 area councils here in the FCT. What are you looking out for, basically?
Right. Personally, I'm looking forward to seeing how all of the machines and the equipment are going to work efficiently, because over time we've heard about, we've seen the failure of the BVAS machine. In 2023, there were talks about the malfunction of the BVAS machine, right? Also, the IRF portal, there were challenges that the transmission of results was not in real time as it is, right? Trying as much as possible to also find out from INEC how ready are they right now, from 2023 up until now, right? All the BVAS machines, what happened in 2023, have they improved that technology to ensuring that the FC2 poll is going to happen efficiently, especially because they've also promised us that they're going to be using the e-transmission and to ensure that there's real time in the transmission of results using the IRF portal, and of course using all the technologies available. Those are things I'm looking out for to see how effective it can be.
All right, let's go on to Mr. Wilfred Ifogah. We must have this conversation today, regardless of the...
I believe you can hear me now.
Oh my goodness, we still cannot hear you, Mr. Wilfred.
You can't hear me still. I think it should be from your end, because I can hear you clearly.
Oh no.
Wow.
Oh no, oh no, oh no.
Mr. Wilfred, we're really struggling to hear you. Have you unmuted your mic, please?
Unmuted your mic.
I can hear you clearly. I don't know why I can hear you.
Okay, that's good. We can hear you now.
Yeah, now we can hear you.
You can hear me now.
Yes.
It's better.
Yes.
All right, please, can you turn down the volume? Not Mr. Wilfred now. Can you turn down the volume so that we can hear Mr. Wilfred clearly? It is extremely loud. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Wilfred. Now, to the question of today, we have a total of 637 candidates that are contesting, and we have 6 positions and in general 68 elective positions that will be contested for the FCT Area Council election. Now, how prepared is INEC for this election? Because it's important that INEC notes that this will set the antecedents for what will happen in the presidential election come 2027. All eyes are on INEC to see how effective this election would go. So how prepared is INEC for this election?
Okay. Once again, good morning. I just want to, assure that INEC is actually prepared. Just go back to last year when the notice of election was publicized for the FCT Council elections. INEC actually wrote that 13 activities for us to implement. So by today, which is the 19th of February, by 12 midnight, the 12th activity would have been accomplished, and that is the public campaigns by the political parties. So that will stop. So it will now remain just the election itself on election day. Outside that, there are 1,680,315 registered voters in the FCT, and this is what we expect, definitely, the size of voters from the FCT. And these votes are actually, or rather the registered voters are scattered in the 2,822 polling units we have in the FCT, which is across the 6 area councils. And of course, we have 62 registration areas, otherwise known as the electoral wards. So for the commission, a lot of activities have been going on in terms of our preparation. The non-sensitive materials for the election have actually been taken to the area councils, and at the area council, it has in turn been bashed into the various registration areas, and in the area council as well. It has also been bashed into the polling unit level. So just for this movement down to the racks, which will be done on Friday in preparation for the election, which is on the 21st. Capacity building has also taken place when we talk about capacity building for the electoral personnel that will be carrying out their functions on election day. Talking about the supervisors, the presiding officers, and assistant presiding officers. It didn't just end there. Even collaboration with the security agencies, INEC has also engaged them on the rules of engagement on how they are supposed to go as well. Then in terms of other stakeholders in the process, talking about observers, as well as the media itself, observers have been accredited for this particular exercise, and also for the media, accreditation has been done as well. Okay. Then as part of our readiness to ensure that devices will be using, especially the beavers on election day, we did have a mock exercise that was carried out about 2 weeks ago to ensure the efficiency of the beavers, and it was very, very successful. And just yesterday, the Honorable Chairman of the Commission had a stakeholder meeting with the stakeholders here in the FCT to give them updates on our preparation. And even the security agents were there. The Commissioner of Police for the FCT was there. That's Commissioner Miller Matawaye, PSC, was there to give the assurance of the security agencies that will be helping out to protect and also guide men and material, as well as the electorate on election day. So far, so good. The Commission is prepared for the exercise.
Okay.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir, for that update. And very recently, we've seen now that the e-transmission of results has now been made mandatory. And you've said that just 2 weeks ago, you've tested the beavers and the IRF machine. But how secured is the IRF portal right now?
Talking about how secure the IRF portal is, we have never complained that the IRF portal is not secured. Okay, so just like the chairman promised, before now, INEC has been uploading results from the polling units onto the INEC result viewing portal, and that will still do for the FCT Area Council election. So the IRF portal is secured, so there's nothing wrong with it. Probably except you are talking about technical challenges.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Because you also have some issues
Okay,
in
if you talk about
2023 when you
technical,
talked
yes.
about glitches and all of that. The delayed upload as well of results on the IREF portal that happened in 2023. Are all of these, being sorted out, basically? In as much as you said you did some testing, but are we expecting that there's going to be a smooth sail, in this election so far?
Yeah, yeah. Based on the tests or the mock trial we did for the beavers in about 289 polling units scattered around the 6 area councils, and with the results we got from it. So we hope for a smooth sail come
Okay.
21st of February.
All right, Mr. Wilfred, I'll take you back again to 2023, where we had that election. We were using the beavers for the first time, and one of the major controversies around that election is the fact that the beavers did not work. And according to INEC, there were glitches that existed. So now we have established the fact that we cannot, especially when it comes to technology, we cannot alienate it from glitches, because sometimes it can happen. My question would be, what contingency plans have INEC put in place to ensure that if at all these kinds of glitches or malfunctions, technical errors, as you'd like to call it, if they happen on the election day, what plans have INEC to ensure that it is sorted and it does not disrupt the electoral process? Because, Mr. Wilfred, Nigerians are no longer concerned about promises anymore. They want to see systems that work. So if you must have a system that works, you must make room for that margin of error and how to solve that. What plans does INEC have in cases like this?
Okay, first I have to correct something there. I think there's never a time you say the beavers didn't work. Let us clear a myth about the beavers. The beavers is the bimodal voter. Let me finish. Finish. I think we are trying to, yes, an enlightenment interaction. The beavers is the bimodal voter accreditation system, basically to accredit voters on election day.
Yeah.
So there's hardly issues. Wherever there are issues, there's always a replacement for the beavers as far as accreditation is concerned. So probably what you're talking about is the upload of the result after the conclusion of polls at the polling unit, to upload those results on the IREF, which is the INEC result viewing portal. Yeah. Fine. So like you did mention, because the reference point here is the 2023 presidential election. Remember, in 2023, it was not just presidential election that took place. Absolutely. There were other pockets of election for other offices, and those never had issue. But it only came up with the presidential election because the use of the IREF for the upload of result at that time has never been used for a large-scale upload of result, especially for a particular office, which is that of the presidency. Okay. So somehow, everyone trying to get on the IREF, jam-packed the network, and there you had the technical challenge we had. Okay. Like I said, even if, like right now what we are saying is that, even while we tried to have this conversation just now, we had a glitch because you couldn't get me through audio, even when we know FCT is quite covered in terms of 5G and other kind of network. So we are not going to rule that out. But what INEC is going to ensure is that all results from the polling units will definitely be uploaded on the IREF. Yes, while some will enjoy the privilege because of where the coverage gets to maybe read time those we uploaded, while others, yes, even while at the point of upload, they don't have the full network for it to be, transmitted immediately. But as soon as they get within coverage area, it will drop. So that is what we are banking on.
I like that you use the example of what happened this morning. It's also important to note that we sorted it out almost immediately, which is what we want to see when it comes to INEC. We don't want it extended to a point now where people start to question the credibility of the work that you have put together for the elections. So thank you very much for that.
All right. Now, we look at political influence many times when we have ad hoc staff, working with INEC most of the time. Now, we've heard these over and over again during the election period. Now, you've talked about the fact that, you've trained a few staff to join INEC to do the work for the Saturday, election that's happening right now in the FCT. What specific things have you also done to ensure that these ad hoc staff, they are not politically influenced during this election?
Okay. Over 11,000 adult personnel will be used. So outside that 11,000 adult personnel, drawn basically from the NYC, will be participating in this election. And apart from that, they will be having supervisors. Some of them will be coming from their permanent staff of INEC, maybe from other federal agencies that will join us as well. Then we also have another crop of monitors that will be monitoring them. We call the area supervisors as well. Then even as we speak, we have about 6 resident electoral commissioners deployed from other states to join the resident electoral commissioner for FCT to help monitor the election. And a couple of other commission staff will be out there in the field to ensure the right thing is done. But outside that, the personnel we are using, they've been actually taught on what they should do and the integrity of the job, and for them not to compromise. And apart from that, like I do say when I have the opportunity, the business of conducting election is not just for INEC alone. We have other stakeholders that are with us. Yes, in as much as we want to do it, there are still pressures from other groups. But in order to ensure we are always on our toes, that is why you monitor us. That is why the media is there, the civil society groups are there, the observers are there, okay? And we expect that everyone will play their role just to ensure. That is why the parties have their agents at the polling units as well. Just in case, probably maybe the officer chooses to compromise, the party agent is there to protect the interests of their party. So these are all things we expect all stakeholders to do. But we do expect that as law-abiding Nigerians and as part of our civic responsibility to do the right thing at the right time, even while no one's even watching, I thought this is when to actually display it, because the duty they are about to perform, in as much as they are adult personnel, they are doing it on behalf of the commission. And anything they do, they will tend to blame the commission. But we don't want to take anything for granted. So the conduct of the selection will be highly monitored and to ensure that the right thing is done at the appointed time.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Wilfred. Now, I would take example from Anambra elections, the just conducted elections on the 8th of November in 2025. And the total number of voters or registered voters were 2,788,864 registered voters. Now, according to the figure that was used by INEC eventually, it was about 2,788,864 registered voters. Now, the number of people that voted was about 598,229. Those were the numbers that were accredited. Now, the number of those that actually voted was 584,054 were valid, while 11,244 were rejected and considered invalid votes for the Anambra gubernatorial election. Now, it means that about 21.4% of people that actually registered were the only number of people that came out to vote, which signals a low turnout of voters during the Anambra election. The FCT election, like I said, is just in less than 48 hours. What has INEC done to address the issue of voter apathy? Because I put it to you that regardless of the plans that INEC have put in place, if the people do not come out to vote, it is a waste of effort put in by INEC. So what has INEC done to address the issue of apathy?
All right, talking about the issue of voter turnout right now, I know that will definitely come up. But I want to look at it that way. For us, for the Commission, yes, part of our mandate is for voter and civic education. Okay. Trying to let voters know about our activities and about our policies as well. And if election is coming up, we publicize it. And also, if there are new methods or systems we want them to use to approach the electoral process, we'll let them know as well. And making sure that the activities are well publicized so that they'll be in the know of what is happening. But then another responsibility is also to the political parties who have presented candidates for the election, for them to campaign as well, do their door-to-door campaign, letting people know. Remember, this is a grassroots election. INEC cannot be going just the way they are going, because the parties, especially they are supposed to have their structures in order to be able to reach out to the nooks and crannies of where they expect to, govern. But for us, we did our bits. We used our available channels for us to also publicize our activities. But then, FCT is quite unique in the sense that over time they've experienced this low turnout of voters, especially when you're having these council elections. I think, I think most times, especially with AMAC, like people, when you look at the number of persons staying in AMAC and the turnout of voters, you're wondering why. And I think one of the reasons I've actually, seen in most of my findings is that most people who reside in AMAC, some are not even registered to vote in AMAC. Okay. So most of them, you find out that here is the Federal Capital Territory, all Nigerians are here. And most persons, when they are involved in politics, they just go back to their various states or to participate in the election, only for them to return after the exercise. And most times, it's solely probably when you have a general office, maybe like that of the presidency. You see most people actually coming out. So it is not for us, like INEC. We are not campaigning to have votes. It is the political parties that will campaign to have the votes. All we simply do is to notify the electorates and citizens that election will be coming up. And that we have actually done.
But don't you think that the reason, because you have recounted that over time, AMAC or AMAC particularly, or the area council election has actually recorded low voter turnout. I do not agree that it is just the responsibility of the political parties to canvass votes. It is important that INEC also encourages the people to come out to vote in their number. It's an electoral process. We have the right to vote and be voted for. That's what the Constitution says, at least. So if there's a low voter turnout, don't you think it's the responsibility of INEC to be able to do feasibility studies, inquiries, and investigation as to why people do not turn out for elections? It's not just about preparing for the process, because if people are not coming out for the elections, in fact, if I'm sure that you have been in the social space, you'd see that one of the major reasons is the fact that a lot of people have lost faith in the electoral process, because according to most Nigerians, their votes will not count. Don't you think INEC should do some sort of feasibility studies to find out why it has been like that in the last couple of years?
All right, just like you said, it's not like we've not done our feasibility studies, but you cannot actually force people to come out and vote. It's a choice, okay? But then, saying that vote do not count, I know most of these things that probably people want to trace it maybe to the last exercise in 2023. But then we can't say because that happened, like you now say, it will not amount to like throwing the baby away with the bathwater. We have actually, recounted what happened, and see how we can surmount those challenges, or probably if it's a deficiency on our part, we've tried to work on that to see how we can improve on it. Like I did say, most of the agitation is that the process between the polling units and the collation center. A lot of persons feel a lot of things happen there, okay? And the commission has gone a long way now to ensure that they improved on the beavers, which is also the device used to upload the results. And right now, I know a lot of persons are agitating for real-time and transmission of results or something that probably will be exactly. So, however, I want to say this: what is it called? Your votes do count. If votes don't count, they will not be vote buying. That's another thing to it. If they were not counting, nobody will buy your vote. So they now realize that your vote count. That's why they go after people to do vote buying, and that is a crime on its own. So I'm using this medium to also those that are listening. Please, if it's not the purpose of you coming out to vote and you are caught, you'll be in trouble. So there's no point doing that. But we'll continue to educate and enlighten people. Yes, let them take advantage of this process. I know most times, some persons want to participate, like maybe AMA, but because of the window for them to be able to do a transfer before the elections, and they are unable to do it, okay? Yes. Because you do it, you are transferred to this point, then maybe another electoral cycle, maybe you want to go back to your place to do it, you now do another transfer or something like that. But then I think with some of the recent amendments in this electoral bill that was just signed, definitely maybe we'll look towards a seamless time. If you need to vote at this particular point, it will be very easy for you to do your transfer while waiting maybe for the next electoral activity for you to transfer to another point.
Thank you very much.
And for that, that's the much we can do.
All right. Of course, you do recall that still in 2023, INEC's reputation was really hit hard. And that was where many Nigerians always reference to talking about the fact that after that election, they lost faith in the electoral system as it is. Now, you've talked about some of the things that you have done, but it also seems that Nigerians haven't really gotten that proof, that reassurance by INEC as it is. So specifically, what are the things that you've improved upon? The Electoral Act Amendment is one that was saying, of course, that was recently signed, where the transmission of results has not been made mandatory. But what are the proof, that you can say to Nigerians right now that INEC has, to also reassure Nigerians that INEC has improved greatly and the reputation of INEC is being amended?
Okay, I want to say this. For those that have been following the activities of the Commission, you find out that we've actually improved. I would like to use like for science students who do mathematics, okay, maybe a theory question is given, maybe in that particular question, there are 10 steps. And in that 10 steps, they attract marks until you get your final answer. It's possible the final answer you got, there was an error. You can still end up having like 8/10. I think that's somehow what's really happened in the 2023 election. So I don't want us to probably dwell on the outcome, but look at some of the positive changes we've actually carried out. And we are still doing more to ensure that the process is seamless. Yes, we know about these various agitations, and as far as the legal framework can allow us carry out our duties, we will definitely use them to ensure a smooth process as far as elections are concerned. So I don't want to, especially I know the Gen Zs and some of the youths, most of these agitations we do is not just on social media. Please, you have to be practical with some of the agitations you are looking for. It cannot just be there, but be involved in the process. It does not, start with you voting on election day. It has to start with you participating, even as a member of a political party. That is where probably some of the changes you get. Follow the process. It's not at the end where probably you cannot necessarily make any change to the process that you start maybe making certain agitation. So it's the process for all that are of age and can participate in the electoral process to begin early so that that necessary change that we all yearn for can be achieved.
All right, Mr. Wilfred, finally, the 2022 FCT Area Council election was largely peaceful, with no official, I would say, tally of widespread violence during that election. The only thing you would most likely see recounted was a person who was hit by a motorcycle in 2022 that died during that election. Now, for us, or for INEC to be able to maintain that history of somewhat peaceful electoral process in the FCT, what security infrastructure has been put in place by INEC? I hear that INEC is tallying with other agencies. So there is NSC, CDC here, there's the police, all of these agencies working together. What structure have they been able to put together? Security framework, that's one. Secondly, what have you been able to do so that these agencies do not clash? Because one of the major issues at the time, again, was this person receiving an order, this person executing the order they received from their commander. Is there some sort of harmony between these security agencies to ensure a smooth morning of the elections for this Saturday?
All right, talking about election security, the INEC has a collaboration with the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security. At the national level, the Honorable Chairman of the Commission is the chairman of that committee, and the NSA, the National Security Advisor, is the co-chair. Then if we now take it down to the FCT office of INEC, the Resident Electoral Commissioner is the chair of the excess, co-chaired by the Commissioner of Police for FCT. Then, like I did say at the beginning, the Commission met with, had a stakeholders meeting yesterday where the chairman of the Commission was present, and he actually interacted with the security agencies. Meanwhile, the police is the lead agency of other sister agencies that work during the electoral process, and they have that synergy. They always collaborate, and these are some of the things too they also have discussed. And the Commissioner of Police did assure that there will be adequate deployment to secure the FCT as well as the electoral process. So he has given his assurances, and it will not go below what they have been doing in time past. So I think that is the only thing I can say as far as security coverage is concerned for the FCT.
All right.
So please, finally, talking about the real-time transmission of results, just to be sure again, will INEC be transmitting the results in real time on Saturday, talking about the FCT municipal elections?
Please, can you take it again? Because as you were speaking, I had a glitch from your side.
Okay. So I asked, will INEC be transmitting the results in real time on Saturday?
What I can say is that INEC will be transmitting results, or rather uploading them on the IREF, the INEC result viewing portal, as far as the network can take. For those that can drop immediately, they will drop. For those whose network are not strong enough, it will drop. But as soon as the network gives them the leverage to drop, they will do that. Yes.
So it means the network issue has not been solved completely.
It is not INEC solving the network issue. It is the infrastructure the nation already has. I think that's just it.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wilfred Ifogah, for sitting with us and having this conversation today. Mr. Wilfred is the Deputy Director of Information and Publicity, INEC. We'll definitely love to have a chat with you after the elections so that we can go over some of these preparations and conversations we've had to see how far INEC was able to execute the election. Is that a deal, Mr. Wilfred?
Post-election conversation.
Post-election conversation.
Yeah, if my schedule allows me, I will be able to do that.
Definitely. Right. We'll keep up with you. Thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Yes.
And you too. Bye.
All right. We've been able to hear from him as the Deputy Director, Information and Publicity, INEC. So definitely can take his word for it because he sits at a table where these decisions are being made and he's been able to publicize it. One thing I'm particularly concerned about is the ability to ensure that there's a smooth running of this election because it will determine a lot of things. For the INEC chairman, Professor Joash Amopiton, the Anambra election was more like a test run for him, so Nigerians will be able to see if he's fit to occupy that position. But we can't make excuses for the Anambra elections. But for the FCT elections now, it is assumed that he has conducted one election which he considers a successful election. We want to see how the FCT, the election for the FCT pans out eventually. In less than 48 hours, we will go to the polls to decide who represents us across different area councils.
And of course, when I asked the last question, talking about the assurance if the results are going to be transmitted in real time, we saw the answer. Once the network allows, then it's going to get posted as soon as possible, which is to also say that we might not be expecting those results in real time as it is. But again, these are some of those issues that we've complained about, and we do hope that it can be solved and resolved. But we're going to keep our eyes open on that. Security is a thing, right? Vote buying is still a thing in Nigeria, and it's something that has happened nationwide. In the Anambra election 2025, there were also talks and speculations, reports as well, that there were vote buying, in Anambra. In fact, whilst we were reporting, we came across the popular, aphorism that was used during that election, and it was the Igbo word called egele. So everyone was asking how much. That was the interpretation of that particular word, and that happened.
I think I speak better Igbo than you.
Probably.
Egole is money.
You try. You understand? So these are some of those things that we're also looking at, saying how these things would not get to repeat itself again. Because saying that you've trained the ad hoc committee, the ad hoc staff to ensure that they don't get influenced politically, you have supervisors. In fact, speculations are some of these supervisors are the ones even who are more influenced by the politicians, who then in turn influences the ad hoc staff in various polling units. We do hope that INEC has done quite a lot to ensure that these things do not happen, because if these guys are compromised, it then means that this election might not go as smooth, might not go as credible, as we expect it to be. But again, fingers are crossed and hopes are high to see the outcome of the FCT election.
Truth is, they said they have trained the ad hoc staff and all of the people who would be a part of the conducting the elections this Saturday. I'm hoping that they are conversant with the tools that are made available to them, just so we don't see another issue of mistakes. This time, not glitches, is people not knowing how to use the equipment that have been made available to them. But yes, we have quite a number of reports, or a report that stems from the conversations that INEC has had in the public space about the preparation or the preparedness for this election. Let's go take a look at that, and then we'll be right back to wrap it up.
Convened the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has convened this strategic meeting with key stakeholders, including political party leaders, candidates, security agencies, civil society organizations, media representatives, and observers to ensure a credible FCT Area Council election on February 21st, 2026. INEC Chairman Professor Joash Amopiton emphasized that conducting credible election is a collective responsibility requiring cooperation and compliance from all parties involved.
On our part, we have addressed the staff of FCT INEC, and we have read the Riot Act to them, that no excuse will be acceptable for this election. INEC has done all that is obligated to do to make sure that we have a smooth election, to make sure that we have a fair, free, and credible election.
According to INEC, the elections will cover the 6 area councils of the FCT, Abaji, Abuja Municipal Area Council, AMAC, Buhari, Gwagwalada, Kuje, and Kwali, with 1,680,315 registered voters eligible to participate across 2,822 polling units. A total of 570 candidates are vying for 68 positions, including chairman and vice chairman seats, as well as 62 councillorship seats. The INEC chairman encouraged voters to turn out peacefully and exercise their franchise, urging stakeholders to adhere to the rules.
I urge stakeholders to recommit themselves to peaceful conduct and strict compliance with the law. Security agencies must remain professional and impartial, just as I have charged all our members in INEC. Political parties must conduct themselves responsibly. The media must report accurately. Observers must remain objective. Voters must turn out peacefully and exercise their franchise.
INEC electoral commissioners are determined to ensure a successful election, with security agencies, including the Nigerian police force, promising adequate security before, during, and after the elections.
Today, we are also displaying the register at the polling units to enable people identify their polling units, because it's a challenge that we have identified due to the migration of voters during the 2022 election. So now we are publishing the register at the PUs days before the election to enable voters identify their particular PUs ahead of Saturday.
Since 1999, it's only these council elections that have been consistent. More than 1 or 2 parties have won elections. There has never been a caretaker committee in FCT. Election is coming up on that day. For us, from the security angle, our operation order is out. Every agency here knows the role it is going to play on that day. We have deployed massively. When I say massively, I mean we have deployed very massively. 1, to the polling units. Each polling unit will have reasonable number of security agencies monitoring activities at the polling units. Deployments to rack centers have also been done. It is just to perfect it on that day.
The stage is now set for a crucial FCT Area Council election. Abuja, Godwin Amundi, Rapid Television News.
All right. That is the report about all INEC's processes and procedures and their readiness to work. And it sounds as though they are ready. We don't want to work with what they sound as. Exactly. We want to see exactly how it turns out come Saturday.
Exactly. I mean, that's where we'll get to know if everything they have said, we can take their words for it. And I think it's really important that INEC knows that all Nigerians are also looking out for this election in the FCT that will be happening on Saturday. Because again, this is one way that Nigerians can get to judge either our confidence be reassured or Nigerians continue to hold on the fact that the electoral system can no longer be trusted. So INEC has a responsibility to ensure that they deliver and deliver efficiently and effectively to Nigerians, because they owe Nigerians that. Just like we're having a conversation with the INEC official, we did tell him that, in 2023, INEC's reputation took a very massive hit, and Nigerians have, to an extent, lost trust in the electoral process. Now we still have a few persons, or many persons rather, who will still come out to vote and who still wants to vote. But we also have lots of people who have also lost their trust and their faith in the electoral system.
I think the majority of the electorate,
especially young people, and the truth is, in Nigeria, the population is made up, the larger part of the population is made up of young people, and these are the people that ought to be there to be part of this electoral process. And if young persons are saying that we've lost our faith in INEC, I mean, they're just trying to say, that the next election, you might not see many young persons come out. But I think it's really important that young people as well should learn. We ought to come out. Everyone needs to come out, in our mass, to ensure that we do our bit, and then we can hold INEC to account, But again, just like I said, INEC has a responsibility to Nigerians to ensure that the election in the FCT come Saturday is credible, right? There's no vote buying. We don't have the insecurity going on there, or electoral violence going on in the various polling units in the 6 councils that we have here in the FCT. Fingers crossed, and we hope that they do better this time.
Something the deputy director said this morning on this interview that stuck, and it's important that Nigerians know. He said, if your votes do not count, it will not be bought at all. So sometimes we fall for the deception of, yes, our votes do not count, but it's not because when you vote, it cannot be accounted for. It's because it can be bought. So your votes actually count, and it's important that beyond going to the ballot to cast your vote, it is also your responsibility to protect your vote. And that's why you see during the LOP, I'm sure it was a very popular thing during the 2023 election, where people stayed at the polling units. They counted the election, results. They counted the election results with both with the observers and everyone that was responsible for that at the time. In fact, we saw Nigerians rally round, provided lights, generators to make sure that, look, our votes must count. And that hit Nigerians hard when we thought, look, this is who we came out to vote. We came out in our numbers to vote. We know that this is what we voted for. But when we see something else, we cannot prove it. And that's why the popular quote, you go to, can you prove it in court? We'll go to court. If you can prove it, exactly, you would see in court. And you see, it's important. And right now, it's important also for us to note that it is not time to be frustrated. If you did it before it didn't work, means that there's a strategy that you can use to ensuring that your votes actually count. Provide the network if you must, because this is, in fact, like I said, at the polling units, citizens came together, rallied round, provided electricity right at the polling units, even when it was night. They refused to let that box go without them counting their votes. You can do it again. And this whole idea of not paying so much attention to sub-elections because we feel like the presidential election is the most important one, I think it's a mindset that we need to deconstruct now before we get onto the 2027 general elections, because the House of Representatives election is as important as the senators you elect into the National Assembly. It's as important as the governors you elect. It's as important as the president, because if these areas or these arms do not function effectively, the president will not be able to pay attention to his core responsibility. He will now start to meddle in the affairs of these people that have already been elected to do the job that they are supposed to do. So it's important that we are intentional about each of these elections before we get on to the presidential election.
Picking on the call you made to Nigerians to do it again, talking about the fact that where many Nigerians can as well provide electricity.
Not electricity. Stay there and make sure that you are part of the process.
That works, because you made reference to when in 2023 when Nigerians actually powered some of those centers just to ensure that, hey, there's light, let's finish this thing here today. And I think it's why that is good, for where many Nigerians to do that, but that's not the full responsibility of Nigerians. If you can do that, no wahala. But I think it's important that all these provisions has got to be, catered for.
It is captured in the budget.
Exactly.
It was captured in 2023.
Exactly, but did we see that happen?
Okay, so but you still cannot fold your hands.
That's what we're saying. But we're saying, but the responsibility, falls on the body responsible for it.
Absolutely,
not Nigerians, as it is.
Not Nigerians. But it was in the budget for 2023. It was in the budget. It is still captured in the budget for 2027 elections. And definitely for these FCT elections, it will definitely be factored in the budget for whatever contingencies may exist during the elections. But it is your responsibility. The less part of that conversation to hold is whether to provide light or whatever. The most important part of the conversation is that you make sure your vote counts. Monitor the process as well. Don't cast your vote and just go. make sure that you are part of the process as well. And that's the most important thing come Saturday. And I hope we do remember that and we protect our vote as much as possible. If the FCT is safe, this is the Federal Capital Territory. If it is safe, then the presidents or the arms that exist here can pay attention to other areas. It's as simple as that. That's the most logical explanation I can give to being a part of the election as much as possible.
And of course, just to remind you, we are going to be, you know, covering the election live here on Saturday, so you just need to keep a date with us as we keep you updated on the election proceedings come Saturday. Right.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning. We'll be heading out now, but before we go, it's important that you note we are active across social media platforms on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, and on X. It is at Rapid TV. On YouTube, it is at Official Rapid TV. www.rbnradiotv.com allows you connect with us anywhere in the world. We'll be heading out now. There are other programs for your viewing pleasure. Please stay put and keep following Rapid TV. My name is Martha Alu.
And my name is Victor. Okay, we will see you tomorrow.